So CNN just released the poll numbers on a poll that basically says that when it comes to the economy and dealing with the economy, the public prefer Democrats as opposed to Republicans. That's no surprise to people like me, like you. But in this clip, we're going to see Adam Mockler get into a back and forth, a quite tense debate with a Republican strategist on dealing with the economy, the state of the economy, and numerous conversations as well. As usual, let's watch the clip in full. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts towards there. Let's get into it.
Now, Adam Mockler, host of the Adam Mockler Show on Midas Touch Network, and Brad Todd, CNN political commentator and Republican strategist. Brad, let me get your reaction to that first. First time in 16 years that Republicans are coming in second on preference of handling the economy. What do you think?
Well, this poll is an outlier. Fox poll is always kind of tough for Republicans, which might be a surprise to some of CNN's viewers, but that's typically the way it is. Republicans do have to be in better shape when we get to the elections in the fall on the economy if you're going to retain the House of Representatives. Now, luckily for us, we're running against House Democrats. Harry Inton, CNN's polling analyst yesterday, said Democrats are lower than the Dead Sea. Recent poll had Democrat congressional approval at only 13%. And it's like the old saying about when you're hiking with a friend and the bear comes after you. You don't have to outrun the bear, you just have to outrun your friends. And so Republicans just have to outrun the abysmally unpopular House Democrats. But do have to do better on the economy if we're going to do that.
Yeah.
I disagree that this poll was an outlier. You can look at any polling trending over the past year, and Donald Trump is rapidly spiraling on the economy due to a number of things that he's done. He got into office and placed sweeping tariffs on almost every single country except for Russia and North Korea for some reason. That cost American families $1,000 last year. On top of that, he cut ACA subsidies. He continued to cut Medicaid for the most vulnerable Americans while making sure that rich Americans don't pay as much in taxes. Then on top of all of that, the war that he just started in Iran is spiking the cost of gas and spiking the cost of diesel, which underlies the cost of all of this. So all of this combined, there is no way to look at the average American in the eye and tell them that the economy is working for them. Do you think the economy is working for the average American?
Adam, you skipped over something really important, maybe the most important economic part. Every Democrat in the U.S. House of Representatives voted to give Americans higher taxes. Every single one of them voted to let their taxes go up. It was the Democrats.
They voted against the big, beautiful bill.
Democrats were right, exactly, which kept their taxes from going up. That's what it did.
It made permanent the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which made the richest people have less taxes.
No, it kept the tax rates where they were.
Yeah,
they were
from
going to
Donald
go
Trump's
up.
first term.
They were going to go up. Democrats wanted taxes to increase on American families. The deduction, the standard deduction, the child tax deduction. Democrats wanted all of those things.
Democrats would have slashed ACA subsidies, making health care higher? No. Do you think Democrats would have started a war in Iran? No. Do you think Democrats would have cut Medicaid? No. You're talking about Democrats screwing over the most vulnerable Americans. I don't see that. Trump has repeatedly thrown them under the bus.
How did Democrats vote on taxes? They vote to let them go up or keep them where they are?
They voted against the big, beautiful bill because the big, beautiful bill made permanent the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that had tax cuts for the richest.
No, the taxes are lower for everyone under the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. They lower for everyone. If you pay income taxes, your taxes went down in 2017. Democrats voted to let those go up.
So the Republican Party has now you're making this argument. The Republican Party is now putting us in a position where the deficit each year is going up. The debt is skyrocketing so much that we have $39 trillion in debt. We're paying $1 trillion per year in the interest on our debt. And Donald Trump is responsible for 27% of that debt as a single man. What Democrat even comes close to that? 27% of that is due to Donald Trump.
Democrats in Congress haven't met anything they'd cut spending on except for border security.
Brad, let me ask you about this, because Adam brought up the tariffs, and we heard from the former Vice President Mike Pence about those tariffs. Let's listen to that.
I think the economy has been impacted by the uncertainty around the president's broad-based tariffs from Liberation Day. I was heartened that the Supreme Court of the United States overturned the president's Liberation Day tariffs.
He was quite critical of that.
I know he's not happy about it, but the Constitution is quite clear that taxes originate in the Congress, not by the president.
You think you say you're running against unpopular Democrats. Are you also running against the legacy of those tariffs?
Well, if you look back when the Liberation Day tariff date he's talking about, the NASDAQ is up 25% since then. I think everyday Americans know that it was unfair that German cars coming into the United States were taxed at 1/4 the rate of cars from the United States going to Germany. The president appropriately used leverage to try to lower trade barriers. And well, I might not have liked every time he pulled one off or put one on, but in the end, the American people know that it is right and just for the United States to negotiate a much more level playing field and to isolate China.
We just had a debate about which party was raising taxes on the American people, and you basically just won the argument for me by saying that Donald Trump raised taxes on the American people, but then you claim that the American people actually understand and support it. No, the American people don't understand it when Donald Trump himself is claiming that other countries pay the tariff. How are Americans supposed to have an
Other
understanding
countries'
of what's
companies
happening?
pay the tax. Tariffs are a tax on foreign companies that come into the United
And
States.
who is paying for it? The companies that import it, and that gets passed off to the consumer.
Sometimes the exporters pay it, sometimes the importers
No,
pay it.
there was
but
a
there are taxes.
$1,000
It's crazy
tax
to me
on
that
every
Democrats have
American.
now decided foreign corporations are the only
No,
entities they don't want
I'm
to pay
saying
higher
that you shouldn't
taxes.
tariff every single country indiscriminately except for Russia and
So-
China, and then call it some smart
So wait a
strategy.
minute, higher taxes on companies are passed on to consumers? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm saying that when companies have to pay for imports, it's
The
passed
higher
on to
taxes on
consumers.
companies hurt consumers. I'm glad Democrats finally have said that because they've always wanted higher taxes.
Brett,
on
let me
companies.
ask you about the president's son. Eric Trump was on television touting a $24 million contract from the Pentagon for a robotics company where he's the chief strategy advisor, a robotics company. He talked about the deal today. Let's watch some of that.
We are America first. We have to win this race. We had to win a lot of races, right? You know, I got involved with crypto in a very big way because we had to win that digital revolution. We have to win robotics in the United States of America.
Eric Trump. Does Eric Trump know any more about robotics than Hunter Biden knew about energy in Ukraine? I mean, Republicans were so critical of his Burisma deal that it deserved scrutiny. Where's the scrutiny here?
Well, he's not a robotics expert. He's an investor in this company. And this company, by the way, we should talk about what it does. They make robots that go into places where there's toxic waste, where there are dangerous situations, where the human body would be at risk. Humans are still in control of these robots. It's a tool. And this is a $24 million contract. It's basically a demonstration contract in a $55 billion autonomous vehicle budget. The United States does, in fact, helps save the lives of soldiers and potentially
Sure,
other
the work they do might be very important, but Eric Trump as a, let me get the title right, chief strategy advisor getting this deal with the Pentagon, Democrats call that corruption in plain sight, and you say what?
Well, the question is, did they deserve the contract based on their product and their price? If they deserve the contract based on their product and their price, then the Defense Department should buy their product at that price. That's the only question.
Was there even a competitive bid, or was it like Kristi Noem, where there was just a no-bid contract that they gave to Don Jr.? I mean, Donald Trump has profited $3 billion off of a coin with his name on it, Trump coin. You admit that, right? $3 billion he's profited. Okay, so you can't admit that.
Are we talking about robotics, or are you trying to change the subject?
I'm talking about the...
We're talking about a $24 million robotics deal. That's
Yes, and
Victor's
it
question.
it perfectly ties into the insane amount of self-corruption. So you don't want to talk about it.
No,
That's
I
fine.
want to know why we're talking about robotics.
We're talking
Does
about
the Department of Defense need to buy robotics so that the soldiers are protected from toxic waste?
Yes,
That's
yes,
the question.
of course.
That's
But we're
the question.
saying the
So you agree with this deal then?
No. The deal is fine. The definition of corruption.
The deal's fine.
The definition of corruption is using public office for your personal gain. If this deal were competitive and went out to competition, that's fine. Giving it to Don Jr. because he's your son is not fine. There should be.
not
you
Don
understand.
Jr.
Eric Trump.
Eric Trump. My bad.
All right.
They're both the same. Yeah.
Adam, Brett, thank you both. All right, up next. Have you seen this?
So, there was a lot of things that took place in that clip, and I just want to give my thoughts first and foremost on the economy, and then I'll get on to the Eric Trump winning the contract. So, listen, this is something that it is that I've always known. It's not hard. It's the exact same thing, especially right here in the UK. Now, when it comes to jobs and growth, let's just look at a little bit of facts. Let's look at when Bill Clinton was in office. Bill Clinton left a surplus, okay, rather than a deficit. If we take a look at Bush, he left a recession, okay? Barack Obama, he inherited a depression, but then he handed Trump the longest bull run in history. Biden created more jobs in 4 years than Trump did in his entire first term. And every Republican president since Reagan has left office with fewer jobs than when they started. So when it comes to jobs and growth, listen, there's no conversation here about who is better for the economy. From my point of view, there's no conversation about who's better for the economy anyway, because we all know the answer. But, for the sake of this video, for this clip, I will give you guys, a bit of my thoughts and in-depth analysis on it. Okay? Now, even let's take a look at the deficit. Now, Republicans cut taxes for the rich, and then they scream about the debt. And what they will do is they will try and wrap up their tax cuts for the rich i.e. big beautiful bill, and then they will try and put it in a way that will bamboozle people who don't understand, and then they will think that this is some form of some kind of win, when the only people that it is that have won from these tax cuts are the rich and the wealthy. In this case, like Donald Trump's friends, per prime example. Now, if we take a look, Donald Trump has added 8 trillion to the national debt, and that is more than almost any president in history. And Democrats actually pay for their spending. Republicans, they just charge it. Now, the economy is the biggest talking point for so many people, the biggest talking point. And the reason as to why is because that's the thing that affects them and the majority of people the most. Now, Republican economics basically works like this. And I want you to think about it. Think about the clip that we've just watched. Think about what Donald Trump consistently always says. Bloody hell, think about what Pam Bondi said when she had a last hearing before she was sacked. Republican economics is based on this. The stock market being up. What do you consistently always hear them say? The stock market's up. The stock market's up. But wages stay flat. Job growth is in decline. You know, the economy only works for the rich and the wealthy individuals. If we take a look at the Democratic policies over time, Democrat policies built the middle class. Think of things such as unions, minimum wage, social security. You know, even Medicare and Medicaid, as much as people want to say, you know, it had its flaws. Well, guess what? It was a better plan than what Donald Trump has, which was just some concepts of a plan. And then lastly, trickle-down economics has been tried for 40 years. Guys, it's never trickled down. It's never, ever, ever trickled down. Now, if we take a look even at medical bankruptcy, do you understand? It's an economic issue, and only one person is genuinely trying to fix it, while the other, they want to tell people they have to fend for themselves and just try and put out an illusion that they want to help with it. It's absolute BS. Like you heard in the clip, the ACA kept millions of people in the workforce. Repealing it would have crashed local economies. And that's just the reality. So look, in closing, this is all it is that I'm going to say, really. The economy does better under Democratic presidents. That's not an opinion. That's just data. It's just data. Now, where Democrats fall short is that Republicans are great at talking about the economy. Talking about it. Democrats' messaging around it is horrible. It's awful. But Democrats are actually better at running it. Remember that? Republicans are good at talking about the economy, but Democrats are better at running the economy. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below on this clip, on my perspective, on my thoughts and views on this. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Who do you think's better for the economy? Dems or Republicans? Let me know down below. See you guys in the next one.